Hello, everybody. It's about that time. Let's go see what's in the fridge today. Alright, guys, thanks for stopping by Gregsbeerreviews today. Today's beer comes from Mikkeller. He is a vagabond brewer over in Denmark. And his brother Jeppy runs Evil Twin here in the United States. They are both vagabond brewers. They go from breweries to breweries, having these guys brew their recipes because they don't want to have a brewery of their own, can't afford it, don't want the hassle. So they're hobos in the beer industry as far as I'm concerned. They're both very arrogant. I'm not a big fan. They have great beers, especially these darker beers like this, but they don't give a rat's ass whether you buy them or you do not. So I do not. I don't buy them. This was sent to me by Rico. Rico, thanks again, my brother, for spending your hard-earned money on this. This is not a cheap beer. This is $10.75. Still has a price tag on it. Looking at the bottle, it has no date. It is a 10.9% alcohol. Most of their beers are handled by the Sheldon brothers out of Massachusetts. I may have reviewed this beer a long time ago, guys, back when I was first getting into beer reviews. It's an Imperial Oatmeal Stout brewed with coffee, and the commercial description on this, as nasty as it sounds, I'm going to read it to you. Formerly brewed by Mikkeller at Nogano, Norway, now at Lerving, Norway. This Imperial Oatmeal Stout is brewed with one of the world's most expensive coffees, made from droppings of weasel-like civicats. The fussy southeastern Asian animal only eat the best and ripest coffee berries. Enzymes in their digestive system help to break down the bean. Workers collect the bean containing droppings. They're shit, basically. For civet or weasel coffee, the exceedingly rare civet coffee has a strong taste and an even stronger aroma. Ingredients: water, malt, hops, yeast, Vietnamese Café Chan coffee. So this is brewed with some kind of animal feces. Sounds pretty appetizing, huh? It probably is going to be a great beer, guys. It really is. Mikkeller and his brother Jeppy at Evil Twin do some really tasty dark beers. But they are very arrogant people. They couldn't care less whether you buy them or not. So I do not. And I want to make that clear. I do not spend my hard-earned money on these arrogant assholes. If you don't appreciate me spending my money on your beers, you can go yourself. That's the way I feel about it. But I do appreciate Rico spending his hard-earned money on it and sending it to me for a review. I may have reviewed this, like I said earlier, in my beer reviewing days. So if I have, this is a re-review for 2016. If I haven't, it's not. So, and I'm not going to hold any judgment. If it's a 10 beer, guys, I'm going to tell you that. We're going to look for a date when I come back, or some kind of vintage somewhere on it that lets us know what year it was produced. Even though it's a 10%er, it's not going to go bad. The coffee may fade over time, another reason why we need a vintage, but the beer is not going to go bad. It's going to keep for a while. So, let's get on with this. I've read you that, so we're going to pop the cap while I read you the food pairings. It says here the cheese is buttered Gouda Havarti Swiss, goes well with your chocolate dishes, of course. The meat is beef, smoked meat, game, and grilled meat. Glass red pint back and on a tumbler snifter. Oversized wine glass. Got my favorite snifter. We're going to go down the center on this one, guys. And it says here can be sold for long periods of time. Being brewed with coffee, I don't know how much of the coffee is going to fade over time, guys. That is the only drawback to selling one of these beers. And looking at the bottle, I see nothing as far as vintage or year. Another reason why I won't spend my money on it. They can at least put a vintage on it. They're going to charge you almost $11 for this 12-ounce bottle. Write a frickin' date on it. Otherwise, carry your fucking ass out of here. The way I feel. Just my OCD, guys. Didn't pour hardly any head. It is pitch black in the light. I pretty much figured it was going to be. Let's get a nose on it. Just a slight hint of the booziness at 10%. Not much. Rich roasted malt. Slight hints of the coffee. Not a big coffee. I've had much bigger coffee beers than this. Bittersweet chocolate, hints of some dark fruit. Smells pretty good. Nothing I would write home about, but let's give it a taste. Cheers. Cheers, Rico. I am getting the coffee on the taste. Very nice. Very thick, very chewy. Caramel, toffee, dark fruit, bittersweet chocolate. Slight hint of the alcohol. Not big, not boozy, not burning. A very well made beer. These guys, Mikkeller and Jeppy both, make some awesome dark beers. They really, really do. And Sheldon Brothers handles both of these guys' beers. It is a tasty beer, guys. A great final beer of the evening, which it is for me. It's very nice. It's very nice. It's right out of the fridge, 40 degrees. I'm going to let her have a sip, 2 or 3 out of it. And I don't think this would be, they call it their Beer Geek Brunch Weasel. I don't know if I'm going to have this for brunch. A 10% beer in the middle of the day or right before the middle of the day. Might be a little shit-faced at 10%. At least if you're going to try to do anything other than sit on your ass and watch TV after that. But it is. They do great beers. So, other than being a bunch of arrogant assholes, they make tasty beers. So let me sip on it for a while and I'll come back and we'll do the final chug. Alright guys, I'm back. Got a little bit left. Great beer for the final beer of the evening. Looked at the bottle again when I come back. There is absolutely no vintage or no dating on it. And to be honest about it, it's not their fault. Everything that's sold over there has to have some kind of dating on it. But when it's being exported to the United States, there are so many states that don't require that, they don't have to do it. So it's not their fault, even though I am faulting them for that. I would like to see a vintage on it. Doesn't have to be here on the front label. Doesn't have to be even on the back label, which would be nice. It could be on the bottle somewhere that it was bottled on. So we have absolutely no freaking idea how old the beer is or how much the coffee has faded over time. That is my biggest fuss over on the beers that come across the pond a lot of times, and especially from this arrogant fool that does great beers. I'll be honest with you, he does some really tasty stuff, but they're not cheap. $10.75 for this bottle of beer. And I have such great subscribers such as Rico and Brandon and so many others that send me beers that I can't get here. This may be available here. I'm not sure because I don't even go over there and look at the import section because those beers are so pricey. And there's so many great American-made beers that are just as tasty for less money. And we don't have to have some kind of creature that's eating coffee berries and they're collecting the shit from these guys or these animals to brew the beer. I mean, it's not going to kill you. It's not going to hurt you. They want to be different. They want to do something that's out the chain. I mean, we collected this and we're making batshit fucking beer or weasel beer or whatever. Buffalo ball beer or whatever the case may be. A lot of these guys like to go off the chain and brew stuff that nobody else is brewing, no matter how extravagant or how horrible it sounds. But this is a great beer. It really is. It's a very tasty beer. And I'm not going to pull any punches. I'm not a fan of Mikkeller. I'm not a fan of his brother Jeppy. They are vagabond brewers that don't have breweries and just go from place to place having these guys brew it. And if these guys have a dating machine, so be it. If they don't, so be it. I mean, they really do care less. And that's the way it is. So I try to spend my money supporting local breweries. When I say local, I don't mean the people in this town. I mean people within 3 to 5 hour driving time around here. North Carolina breweries, Virginia breweries. The breweries that are within a day's driving distance, and going to the breweries and taking a tour and tasting their beers and stuff like that. I want to support the American brewers, especially people that have invested their money and have an actual brewery and are producing beers on a regular basis, and then are producing great beers. Like I said, Old Rasputin comes to mind on this. A lot of the other beers, the beer from 21st Amendment, what is the name of that dark beer they do? It escapes my mind right now, but there are some great beer breweries in the United States that brew just as tasty beers, and they're not as expensive as this. And but you know, if you have deep pockets and you want to try something from across the pond, they do great beers. They really do. Especially Mikkeller. He does some really tasty stuff. Just like his brother does. But like I said earlier, they could care less whether you buy them or not. Somebody's going to buy them. If it's not you, some other sucker's going to come down the aisle right after you and pick this beer up and buy it. So it is what it is. It doesn't hurt my feelings. I just refuse to spend my money on these arrogant people that doesn't care whether you buy them or not. So. But that being said, it's a great beer, guys. As far as I'm concerned, with the information that I have on the bottle, it's a 10 beer and a 9 bottle. And that's where I'm going to leave it. I'm going to do the final chug now. Wonderful aroma. The alcohol is very well hidden for a 10%er. Great taste, even though it's made from some kind of weasel, bat, creature droppings. It is a tasty beer. It is. Final chug. Very delicious beer, guys. The coffee is there, subdued now, because I have no idea how old the beer is. But very tasty. Rich roasted malt, bittersweet chocolate, hints of dark fruit, caramel, toffee. Very tasty, very nice. 10 beer in a 9 bottle, that's where I'm going to give it. Numeric rating on this guy would probably be a 98. That's where I'm going to put it, 98, because I want to see the vintage on the label somewhere. So I know how old the beer is. If I want to do a vertical, I want to do a 2013 and a 2016 side by side to see how much the coffee's faded, to see how much the alcohol is more prevalent in a newer beer. That's the whole reason behind that, guys. Not that the beer is going to go bad, but when it's brewed with coffee, that's going to fade over time. So we want to know how old the beer is. Just me. It's just me. So if you don't have a problem with it, pick you one up. Give it a try. Let me know what you think. And if you've had this one, let me know what you think. Let's go over to Beer Advocate. They say 96 in the world class. It is a world class beer. Him and his brother do very excellent dark beers. They do. They got it going on as far as that's concerned, but they are not cheap. Even Jeffy's beers that are done here in the United States are not cheap beers. Some of them, they're just starting to can some of their stuff, and some of those beers are a little less expensive, but most of the stuff, especially in the bigger 10%ers and bigger, and the bombers, are fairly pricey here in Virginia. They are. They're not cheap. They're not cheap beers to buy, but they are pretty tasty, especially when you get into the imperial stouts. Very nice. Very nice. Like I said, we got a 96 from them. Over to Rate Beer. Rate Beer says 100 overall, 100 in the style. The numbers don't get no better than that. It is a world-class beer, guys. It is. There's no doubt about it. It's definitely worth picking up. Especially if you have deep pockets and you can afford almost an $11 for a 12-ounce bottle of beer. It's very nice. It is very nice. And for our final check-in, let's go over to Untapped. Untapped says it's 4.26, which is the A- category. So I'm giving it a better grade than these guys that at Beer Advocate and Untapped. So I don't feel sorry for these guys. I don't feel bad for the rating that I'm giving them. I want to see a vintage on this bottle somewhere so I know what year it was put in the bottle. Because this beer will sit on the shelf for a long, long time and not go bad. But is this a 2013 edition? Is it a 2015, 2016? What year was the freaking stuff put in the bottle? I want to know that. I do want to know that. So, just me. Just my OCD, guys. If you've had this from them, they're Beer Geek Brunch Weasel. Let me know what you think. It's a very tasty beer, guys. If you have deep pockets, pick it up. Let me know. And if you've had it, let me know what you think. And come on back tomorrow. Let's dig something tasty out of the fridge. See you then.